A lot of you have been sending me this gal.
What if the Bible took place in America?
Hey, that's me. Hi. Love you too, and I love your videos. Thank you for making that video. I actually really enjoy this kind of discussion. I just wanted to pop on though. I wanted to clarify one thing about my thought process. So if this was true, that the Bible took place in America, like I am suggesting, then the fact that everyone believes it took place in the Middle East would be a very intentional deception. And from what I'm seeing and understanding, that deception would have started much further back than I think most of us are considering. So, for example, the map you showed in your video, I think was from the mid 1600s. Was it 1635? And it shows Sodom and Gomorrah being in the Middle East. However, I don't think a map from 1635 is going to be accurate or free from the intentional deception that is being propagated. In fact, I've often questioned if some or many of these maps were intentional propaganda, if they were actually created to manipulate people's understanding of the world. And not just on this topic of the Bible taking place in America, like where the Holy Land is, not even just on that topic, but, I'm sure, as you know, because you've dug into a lot of maps, possibly other topics too. But I actually think if this were to be true, that this deception probably started way back, shortly after Jesus's death and resurrection. Probably, my guess would be maybe after the destruction of Jerusalem, the whole Roman Empire thing. I think it would have started way back then. So the maps we're looking at today, they're not necessarily going to be reflecting this. And I mean, again, I could be wrong, if this is true, and I'm still willing to say if. Like, there's obviously something going on. I think we can all agree to that. And I may adjust my thinking on it as I go and learn more. But with how much the land matches, anyway. But just like a couple examples of this would be, what's his name? Constantine the Great. His mother, Queen Helena, went to the Holy Land to select where some of these locations are. So I know she chose where Mount Sinai is, and the church that they have built where the cross supposedly was. She chose that place. I think Golgotha. I don't know, there was a good handful or two of locations that she selected, whether she knew that they were there because she knew or she just selected them, I don't know. But when you kind of look into it, it's a little fishy. But those weren't necessarily just known locations that everyone knew about and agreed on. She went there. But anyway, my point is, that was back in, I think that was in the mid 300s. So that was in the 3rd or 4th century, so I'm talking way back. I mean, another example, and this is probably a little controversial, but the Mongolian Ashkenazis, I'm going to get chewed out for this, when they switched to Jewish Semitics in the 700s. So that was all the way back in the 700s, and there's connections to the Rothschild family lineage to that, which propagates it forward. We can start tracking the Rothschilds in the early 1700s. So obviously it goes back beyond that if we can start tracking them then. So anyway, those are just two examples I can think of possible evidence that suggests that this narrative would go back way further. Anyway, I don't know that I'm right necessarily on all of that, but I did want to just share my thought process, because I think maybe that would make what I'm saying make a little bit more sense in context of how I'm thinking about it. So Anyway, I'm talking circles. Hope that made a little bit of sense.